Me. Alright, hi everyone, welcome to the Blue Box Diaries. This is entry 1, and we're talking about The Woman Who Fell to Earth, the first episode in Jodie Whittaker's set as the Doctor. So, Suzie, my dear friend who is now participating in this anarchy, what are we going to be doing today?
We're going to basically be breaking down the the premiere episode of Jodie's run as the 13th Doctor. Woo, by the way. Talking about the plot, the music, the characters, everything about it. But I think to get started with it properly, I think we have to introduce ourselves to everybody who's watching
Hello.
and how we became a Whovian.
Yes. I became like a Whovian slowly as I grew up. The first experience I had of it was watching the Peter Cushing film, which was excellent, by the way. But I remember specifically thinking, what the hell is wrong with those trees? Because like it got out the TARDIS and like there was these weird, like I was like, why is this man leaving this tiny little blue box? And what the hell is wrong with these trees? Like I had no concept of like things dying kind of thing in the sense of like nuclear imagery, stuff like that. So I was like, what the hell is going on? like, but I was very young at the time. What about you, Suzie?
So for me, hi, I'm Suzie, by the way, for people watching, because this will be on lovely Steph's channel. Uh, I have been a Whovian since, let me think about this. I've been, well, it was actually my husband who introduced me to Doctor Who, strangely enough. I know.
Oh
My,
my goodness.
my husband's American, for those who don't know, and he still says it's the weirdest thing, like an American introducing a Brit to Doctor Who.
That is weird. That is
It
actually really bizarre.
It is very, very odd. Anyway, I was introduced to Doctor Who through him about 6 or 7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was through David Tennant.
Oh.
So I was New Who all the way, and the first time I fell in love with Doctor Who was David's premiere episode as the
Mhm.
Doctor, and he quoted The Lion King. I am a huge freak, so that immediately grasped my attention. That and the fact that the dialogue was so freaking fast that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love.
It was the fact that it was just like we were talking about this earlier, and it's the fact it was blinking, stepping into the sun. Wait, it was so quick. Like I do remember that moment and being like, "Oh, I like this,"
Oh,
like in the background.
it was awesome. Like, really quick dialogue is something that cracks me up so immediately, almost.
Yeah.
And any doctor that follows that pattern, just anybody that follows that pattern, just thumbs up for me.
I like my first like major thing is like venturing off after the Peter Cushing films is my dad watched that when I was younger. That's why I was on TV. I remember my dad being like ironing in the background and it being a Sunday and me not knowing what was going on. But my first introduction was like properly out with like the old series was Christopher Eccleston, so the first new
Uh,
Doctor, and I remember him standing in front of the big Ferris wheel and going, what? And looking back at the Ferris wheel, and Rose is like, that's making the signal. And he's like, oh, and he lets this big smile break out across his face, and you're like,
yeah.
Jesus, that is brilliant. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
We have started this wee diary entry for you guys out of a love for Doctor Who because we're both massive fans of the series, and with Jodie's, we have a little confession to make before we start properly. Uh, we first watched the series as it came out episode by episode, and I wasn't too enraptured by it. I did get to the end of it, but I didn't have that incessant need to watch it every week like I used to. I used to sit there every week right on time, have the speakers blaring, and then I just got like, I don't know, apathetic, apathy towards it, where I wasn't like very, I need to watch this, I need to the point
Yeah,
where I was 4 weeks behind in the series, and that's never happened before. And
yeah,
like
exactly.
me and Suzie spoke about this, and I was like, how are you finding like these episodes? Like how are you? Like, and we confessed it was a beautiful moment over Skype.
like, I stopped watching it. And I will say it is nothing to do with the fact that Jodie is the first female Doctor. It is nothing to do with that at all because she is fantastic.
Yeah, which
Like,
will,
she's a
yeah,
phenomenal actress. Like, I watched her in Broadchurch
yeah.
uh, on ITV, and that is where the new showrunner, Chris Chibnall, actually came from as well. And that's, I think, partly why Jodie got the part
I
of the
like how
Doctor.
the BBC have like 5 people. Like they always just have
Oh,
5 actors and that's it. Like I know her from Black Mirror. There was an episode of Black Mirror she was in, and oh, that episode was tense, but she did very well in it. Very clever character.
yeah.
See, with this, we've decided to rewatch the episodes because we're massive Doctor Who fans, and we were like, right, no, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna look at the episodes, and then we're gonna talk about it and discuss if we like it or not. And something me and Susie both expressed to each other. Apparently, when you rewatch it, it's actually a lot better. Like,
Oh, weird.
I don't know what happened to us. Like, what's your theory on that?
I think sometimes TV shows or movies you have to step away from and then go back to appreciate it on a different level. That has happened so many times with movies that I did not care for when I was younger. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a good example.
Oh,
I hated that
oh,
when I was younger. I
there's
hated it.
there's probably so many people out there like, what? What?
Yeah, yeah. What was that? I was 11 going on 12 when I saw that movie at first, and I hated it. But as an adult, freaking love it. It's one of my favorites. But I think
Brilliant.
I think it's just something that at first you may not be able to appreciate, and then when you go back into it, you see it in a different light.
That happened with me with Peter Capaldi's first season. I hated it when I first watched it. I was like, they've made the Doctor too dark. Like my least favourite Doctor. Not that I don't like this incarnation of the Doctor, but my least favourite Doctor was Colin Baker's Doctor. You know, the multicoloured coat one, because he tried to, when he regenerated, he was flipping back and forth, and he got really aggressive with one of the companions and tried to strangle them. And I really like. I thought Peter Capaldi was going to go that way,
Yeah,
but he wasn't. He never was. And like when you look back at that season, it's incredible. It's really good. It's an incredible season, even though it does have its flaws. There's a
yeah.
lot more moments in it on rewatch that you do appreciate. So this is what we're here to do today. We're gonna, and the next couple of days when we come back to this, is talk about like the episodes and what revisiting meant to us, as well as like the things like the plot, as Susie said, and going through the soundtrack and all these things together. So
And everything compiled together that makes an episode.
yeah, so Susie,
So the
well
plot.
we yes,
No, it's okay. We're gonna examine the plot first of all because that's always a major point in any Doctor Who story. There's always a big storyline or a plot that runs through maybe one to half of the season.
yeah,
Uh, but this is a good introduction to it, and I love the fact that, and not a lot of other people appreciated this. I love how it opens up.
yeah, like
So simple. There's no introduction, nothing. It just goes right into it.
the basic synopsis of the episode is that they don't get aliens in Sheffield, but in the South Yorkshire city, Ryan Sinclair, Yasmin Khan, and Graham O'Brien, or Brian, are about to have their lives changed forever as a mysterious woman, unable to remember her own name, falls from the night sky. Can they
Mm-hmm.
believe a word she says? And can she help solve the strange events taking place across the city? And as Susie said, the episode begins with a YouTube intro of all things, and it's
I
just
know.
right into it, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it starts with Ryan with his blogging format. How did you feel when you first saw that?
I liked how they did it because I think every doctor in their runs brings something more modern or more reflective of life in that period. So having a main companion character be a YouTube vlogger, oh my god, I loved that idea.
Yeah, like I know some people think that it'll date the season or the episode and it will show its time period, but there's nothing wrong with that because this is where the character Ryan comes from. This is his decade. This is his era. So when future generations look back on this, they'll be able to see what we were up to. So I think that's pretty awesome. But can I say who entitles their first blog Hey? Like, what's going on? Like, it has
Well,
it, and it's just like, hey, 19 views, 37 subscribers, 2 dislikes, and 11 likes.
that's pretty common for a lot of startup uh, podcasts and just people who don't generally know how to begin a show. That's very, very common from from all the shows I've seen and done.
See,
That's pretty common. So I like that touch of it.
I really like how it's a throwback to Love and Monsters, a David Tennant episode, back in season 2, I think. And it's like where he's blogging to the camera about how he met the Doctor, and he's just telling the story behind him, and it's actually incredible. It breaks the is it the fourth wall where he's just talking about it, and I feel like it's like BBC have definitely done this before with Doctor Who, so it's actually um I think it's pretty cool. I thought it was a wee bit like kind of cheesy, but just that right kind of cheesy because I was like, oh no, like is he gonna like kind of expose the Doctor for who the Doctor is or what's going on? Because I thought it was gonna be another conspiratory. Oh, there's this man who appears throughout history and photographs everywhere of Christopher Eccleston. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know if we should say here at the end of the episode what he was actually blogging about. I think we'll save it to the end of the plot.
David,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So in this blog, he was saying so he wants to talk about the greatest woman he ever met. Smart, funny, caring, special, proper special. Um, and he's only like he says he's only 19 and that he can't ride a bike yet, which then leads to another scene in the moors, and it opens up with this like beautiful kind of sunset that's overlooking like him on a bike with a woman behind him who you later learn is Grace, his grandma.
Mhm.
Um, and I think this is a beautiful scene. I really love the fact that in it there's no massive music playing. It's very gentle and it's very just kind of in the life kind of moment. What do you think of that, like, part?
Definitely, definitely. I think it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and it's refreshing actually examining. It's always refreshing when you have a main character who is not perfect because nobody in life is perfect, and dyspraxia uh, is something that's not explored a lot in mainstream entertainment, which is what Ryan suffers with. It's like a lack of, it's like bad coordination and bad balance, and I can
Yeah,
actually relate to that because I have that mildly. So it's refreshing seeing that in a main character, um,
I
and
really, yeah,
what to do with it
definitely.
later on is beautiful.
Like this, I love this scene because you've got like three interactions going on. Because obviously you've got Grace, you've got Ryan, and you've got Graham, who's played by Bradley Walsh. I love Bradley Walsh. He's so
He's
good.
so good.
He's the first thing you see him when he's smiling, he's doing a thumbs up, and he says
Mm-hmm.
to Ryan, "Look, you mate, like you rode it for a second," and he's like, "Can you stop calling me mate?" Anyway, a second's not enough, and he's so angry and frustrated. But Graham
Yeah.
keeps trying, and it's funny because Grace always refers to your granddad, and it's like, "Is you mean Graham? That's not my granddad." But like this starts an overarching thing that happens throughout the series, and it's actually really sweet. Um, my favourite moment in this is something so stupid, and you're probably gonna all think I'm a bully, but see the bit where he kind of tantrums and he flings his bike. He's like, eh! He just gets angry and just eh!
it, it's a human moment. It's a real human moment with that.
I just
I think it's beautiful the way he does it because that's what a normal person in that scenario would probably do.
yeah, exactly. Frustration.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody gets frustrated, especially when you have dyspraxia and you're trying to learn to ride a bike later in life and is considered a normal age. It's just beautiful. Love
Like,
that moment.
is there anything else you like about the scene before we pop on to Yasmin's introduction?
It reminds me a lot of Broadchurch, and I think that the atmosphere that Chris Chibnall was trying to bring a little bit, because it's something that was familiar to him. He likes using scenery as part of the character of the episode, I believe. So it's like he's used Sheffield as a character.
Yeah, definitely. Because as I said before, like it opens up when it's going on like dusk almost, and it's just beautiful. The yellows and golds, the absence of loud soundtrack in the background, the kind of the sound of the wind rustling through the grass. It's all very like calming.
Yeah,
And like it really draws you in. I really on the review I really like this scene because just the actors do phenomenal in this bit, and I really like how they handled it, because it could have come off as something really stupid or minute, but it came off as a real grounded moment in this family.
absolutely.
The next part leads us on to a young police officer who is walking towards an incident, and she's immediately put in this conflict because there's squabbling women and cars that are like beside each other, and you're like, oh no, no, I know what's happened here, damn it.
Mhm.
And you really get the sense from like when you first introduced to her, like I actually think it's again I've not seen Broadchurch, but from what Suzie has told me about it, it's very grounded in an everyday situation, and using the character of the actual location in the sense of like this is something that happens every day. You see squabbling people, and you watch a lot of police intervene and try and sort things out. And I really love Yasmin's response to these women who are like, "You parked in my spot. It's not your spot. There are no spots." And she's like, "Ladies, please." And goes on to talk about like, you pay for her cracked window, you pay for her scratched door, and we all agree that parking around here is a nightmare, but that grown-ups really shouldn't need to call the police to sort it out for them. And like
Exactly. I love
it's so
that.
good, so good.
Jasmine's amazing in that fact. It's like, come on, you're two grown women. Like, get it sorted. We know parking's terrible here. Just cut it out.
I think this is a really good introduction to a character because you get to see that she's very direct to the point, but she's also exasperated and she wants something more, because then this leads on to when she's in the police car and she's sitting there like knackered almost, like emotionally knackered because she's bored more than anything. And she was
Yeah.
saying to the higher officer that she phones, like, she's capable of more
Yeah.
and she wants more. And ironically, this is what then drives the plot forward. She gets told that she could go and deal with this situation that's arose, um, and try and figure it out. What this situation is something we didn't touch upon. After Ryan flung his bike, he discovers something blue, massive, and kind of looks like a Smurf hat that's like sitting in the middle of the woods.
I think if we're gonna show it like a picture on the screen or a little clip
Yeah,
on the screen,
definitely.
it, it looks like a Hershey's Kiss.
It does! Actually, yes, it does look like a Hershey's Kiss. Oh my
That was the
god.
first thing I noticed when it came. I was like, hold on, are they gonna unwrap the foil and it's just gonna be a massive chocolate pile on there?
Would you
Save the world with the chocolate.
you're the type of person probably to go up and like, can I lick this? Like, can I go up and see?
Yeah, that's the thing though. That's a really silly part of the scene where he goes up and he touches it.
Yeah, like the thing is,
How's that?
no, but I would probably do that. I wouldn't be able to help myself. The thing is, like, I do like Ryan's response when he sees it. He phones the police like immediately because he's like, "No, what is this? This is weird." Um, I do like that because it's a very like human thing to do. You're like, "Nope, gonna call an authority. I have no idea what this thing is." So like this leads to Yasmin coming into the woods and meeting up with Ryan, and I love this interaction between them because he's trying to say like, I swear this isn't a prank. I came down here to get my bike. And she's like, and where's your bike? And he goes, oh, in the tree. And he points up in the tree. And I love that moment because he's like in the tree, like just
Yes, up there.
oh. Ryan, why did you fling your bike? Um, but it's funny because he doesn't explain why his bike's in a tree. So she's like what the hell? Like what? Why is your bike in a tree? Um,
Well, that's not important at the moment. Why the hell is there a big Hershey's Kiss here? Oh
it's
my
it's
god.
amazing because they actually remember each other from something that says Redlands Primary. So they used to be schoolmates, which is really sweet.
Yeah.
Um, immediately when I saw this scene, I thought, oh, here's the love interest, and oh, this is where it's gonna go. But they never really do that, do they? They just kind of leave.
No.
It's actually I found that quite refreshing. Just the fact that like they're like, ah, hiya, and that's it.
Yeah, it's just, oh, we went to school together. Cool, let's move on.
Do, did you like the interaction when it's um, like, like see when they're talking about you, like what this blue kiss Hershey's Kiss thing is, and she's like, "Have you tried to take it away though? Seriously, it's going to be dark in a minute. You can't dump this here." And he's like, I didn't. I can't even lift it. Oh, come on, Ryan, it's me." And he's like, "Touch it." And then she's confused. Like, but she does, and so it was like, see, it's freezing. So like, it's such a human thing. It's like you can't dump this here. Dumps it, like dumps the like, knowledge bomb of
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, it's this frozen Hershey's Kiss.
Yeah,
It's not
like, how in the blue bloody hell do you think I lifted this here?
right. The
Like, I
next,
have a bike in a tree. How do you think I lifted this giant blue Hershey's Kiss here?
to be fair, right though, she's came off of a call and she's been told like you need to go sort this out. It might be more interesting for you. So she's probably thinking like her boss is giving her this stupid thing, and she's like, obviously grew like kind of malcontent with her job. So it's kind of like, oh, exasperation, like what the hell? There's a bike in a tree. I met a guy that I used to go to school with, and now this. What the hell is this? like going near it, like oh my god, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Um, my the next scene is also like one of my favorite scenes in the episode, and it's the train carriage where it zooms in on like Graham and Grace on the train back home. And there's a really nice wee moment where Graham's like, "Do you ever think he's going to call me granddad?" And Grace is like, "Give him time."
Hmm.
And they're just talking about it. And I love their interactions because, like, Graham goes, "3 years we've been married," and she said, like, "And you've never been happier." And it's just, it's so, like, it's just such a sweet little moment between them. You really feel like they're a couple.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like really good chemistry between them.
Like so this is actually just where like something like it cuts back to the woods where they're trying to figure out this like blue thing, but the train carriage scene when it flips back to it is actually the best bit because this is where the doctor shows up and this is where the music comes in and oh it's so good. So right, what happens is like the train carriage obviously starts like malfunctioning, things start going wrong, and um, everything's been blown apart, and a multi-tentacle thing starts moving towards them, and they're like, "What? What is that?" And like they're trying to like sort of cope with it. It's this big ball that like just sort of descends into the carriage, and it's like this weird creepy thing.
Yep, it's very. It's not really creepy, but it makes you uneasy with it. It's it's very different.
Yeah, like it's frantic and just you can tell it's dangerous because there's electric like sort of stuff coming all off it, and you're like, okay, is this the monster? Is this what's going on? Um, I really liked how this scene was shot because it was just like it was very tense because you didn't know what was going on, and on a second revisit, the music really plays into it well, and the way it's filmed, it's very like, oh god, if I was on a train right now, this happened, like how would I react?
I'd be clawing through the window.
Just so like what okay, so we're gonna be like talking about the introduction of the Doctor at this point. This is where this blonde haired woman just descends into the carriage and starts trying to help. So what were your initial sort of reactions at seeing this, Susie?
I was just waiting for her to open her mouth just to see like how her feel was going to be and how similar it was going to be, because the regeneration, you have elements of the previous Doctor going into the new Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just waiting to see what similarities Jodie had taken away from Peter Capaldi.
Mm-hmm.
And it delivered so goddamn well. I loved the pace of her dialogue. I like how she walked around with that kind of essence of, and one line she says just pinpointed it perfectly to her. Felt as well. Oh, sorry, half an hour ago I was a white-haired Scotsman.
like like I think the moment I decided, like, oh, that's very David, there's a very David Tennant Doctor moment in here, which makes sense because Jodie worked with David Tennant on Broadchurch, and there was a bit where it was like where they were trying to get out the door, and it wouldn't open, and it's like, lock, shut, we'll see about that. And she searches her pockets, no Sonic, empty pockets. Oh, I hate empty pockets. And like I love that because that's a very Doctor-ish thing to do.
Yeah.
I really liked her here, but the problem was, like, seeing the scene, I kept getting distracted. I think the reason initially I couldn't concentrate the first time round, and I might have not have liked it as much as I do now, is because, like, I was too busy looking at her and how she was performing as the Doctor to really enjoy what was going on, if that makes sense.
I kind of get you, because anytime there's a new regeneration, you will get distracted by the new Doctor, and especially in that kind of claustrophobic environment, because they're on a train in a closed carriage.
Mm-hmm.
Is like the cinematography of that was like trying to get you to focus more on her, but have these little distractions in the background a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of make you realize, yes, there's a new Doctor here, but look, there's stuff going on here that you have to pay attention to as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good on a revisit, because you've experienced that first moment of seeing her as the Doctor, and then you can actually focus more on what's going on behind her.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely see where you're coming from with that, and I think it's better on a revisit for this particular episode, because the element of surprise has been taken away from the fact that we've been introduced to Jodie. We've seen what she's like now,
Yeah.
and you can concentrate more on the story and everything.
The interesting thing is, like, see, like, when, right, basically from this point, Jodie gets rid of the Doctor gets rid of the, like, the ball of scary that's like trying to, like, go mad, and they escape, and they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and the Doctor does what the Doctor always does, and, like, introduces himself and, like, gets into that dialogue, and then every poor, unexpecting, unassuming human gets drawn into the Doctor and ends up on the front lines of whatever the Doctor's trying to do. So they go from this and meet up with Yasmin and Ryan. Can I say, I really like, this is another, like, I liked it when they all met up and they all started kind of combining the story. Like, to jump ahead in the narrative, they're trying to figure out what's going on and why is everything going on. And I think my favourite line from the entire episode literally is, like, is Graham going, like, he's going to, like, talk to the bus drivers for, like, information because they know everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favourite moment. I love that because one of my friends' dads is a bus driver, or was. He's retired now, and it's such a, like, normal. It's such a, like, kind of thing you'd hear. Like, I'll figure out because the bus drivers do know everything. They're like the conduit for, like, all information. Like, what do you think of, like, the scene where they're trying to figure out everything, and they're, like, pulling together and trying to split off for information?
Definitely, I love that part. That part with Graham going to talk to his bus driver pals. Bus drivers know a lot. They hear and they see a lot.
I just love it so much. I think it's just so good. Like, there was also, like, once they do meet up, Ryan and Yasmin of, like, inform the Doctor of this strange thing this Hershey's Kiss that's in the middle of the woods, and like they take the doctor there, and Ryan's like, "There's my bike," and it's like, "Why is it?" The doctor's like, "Why is it in a tree?" And he's like, "We're up top, and I chucked it over." And it's just like, it's such a sweet moment because it's like them trying to explain to this like interstellar being like.
Why is your bike in a tree? Yeah.
It's such a good moment. See with just to go through like the plot really quickly, we end up with them going around trying to figure out like what's exactly going on with the sense of why is this ball happening and why are these things appearing, and they end up coming across the villain of the actual episodes, who is like I can't go over like this villain. I can't go over it. It's this toothy face blue thing, called, well, as the doctor calls Tim Shaw.
Tim Shaw.
Or it's Tazam Shah. It's like
It's
he's
like
this
Tim Shaw.
he's a Stenza warrior who was wanting to be the leader of his people, but they have this contest kind of thing, and
Actual hunt that they do.
yeah, and those balls that were going about, he put that there because that was just like thing he was coming to like sort. It was something like, I think they're called gathering coils. Actually, like
They're
they,
using cheat.
yes, exactly. Um, they actually go to try and look for like a trophy, and this trophy is what he's to take back to his planet, so he could win the leadership thing. So he's cheating. He's just not a nice guy at all. The Stenza, for people who don't know, are like they're a warrior race, and they like to take trophies of like things they kill and stuff. And their main like attack kind of thing is the fact that they have, like, the reason he's blue is because he has like cold skin, and what he'll do is like kind of put their hand to the face and kind of freeze whatever they're trying to like get past.
Yeah, the temperatures are like way lower than the threshold for cold is on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what can kill a person. Like you can just touch him and instantly gone.
What do you think about how they went about, like the plot went about unraveling to finding out about Tim Shaw? We're going to call him Tim Shaw. Like,
Yeah, Tim Shaw.
that's it. That's it. He was in the credits for the episode. He's called Tim Shaw, so that's what we got. Like, I love that. Like, the doctor's like, it's like the doctor's in control of the actual show by calling Tim Shaw like Tim Shaw.
That is amazing. I didn't even know that until you said it. So good. I like it's a different kind of monster or creature that we've seen before. Very disgusting how he, like, his face is covered with human teeth.
Yeah.
Like, that's, for anybody that is curious what was on his face, that's human teeth from all the victims he's killed. So,
Like,
yeah.
I just love the whole interaction because it's like Tim Shaw, Tim Shaw, Tim Shaw, Tim Shaw, soon to be the leader of the Stenza warrior race, and it's like, Graham's like, don't wind them up, like in the background. I just love like how like they interact with each other, and he's like trying to insult the doctor by going like, "Well done, your tiny mind must be burning with such effort," and the doctor is like, "Did you just say I had a small mind?" Oh, it was actually, I really love this because, so basically, um, as an overview, this Hershey's Kiss landed. It's directly related to Tim Shaw because what has happened is he's on a hunt to retain a leadership contest and to get the trophy that's on Earth. So he sends out wee things to try and get it, and then he's cheating, but he's also a brutal murderer and psychopath because he'll just kill without any remorse.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this is why the Doctor's character has, recognizing he's from the race that he is, it's similar to like not the Daleks, I'd say more so to the Centurions,
Yeah.
like where the race is kind of like even less empathetic than the the Centurions, where it's just like all war and conquer and
Yeah.
such. Like there's no honor in it. Like the Centurions have honor. They have
And
like
potatoes.
I actually was going to say potato people. I had to stop myself. Like I had to stop myself. Um, I just like I just love how they deal with it. And when I was first introduced to this episode and I first watched it and I saw Tim Shaw, I was disappointed by the makeup of the character and stuff. But then I actually I on rewatch actually really like it. I find it quite grotesque. And I
Yeah,
see what they were trying to do because he has teeth like all over his face.
yeah.
This is anything.
Because at first I was like you when he showed up, I was like, what on earth is all over his face? I didn't even catch the teeth thing until after the episode. Like, oh God!
Actually, like I don't know if this joke is like too far, but like my first initial thing was, do you know how you get like the whiteheads, like the pimples and stuff?
Oh God!
Like actually, like was like ew when I saw him. I was like, what the hell is that on his face? Then I saw it was teeth, and I was
Yeah,
sufficiently
it's like
like, ugh.
you a new skincare regime, Tim Shaw.
Clean and clear. Let's
With
like
herself. Take it.
no, it's so bad because he's like I saw what they were trying to do and I thought it was my initial reaction was it's a humanoid thing and that it's not that terrifying and stuff. And I do still think at the plot point in this where they're trying to take down this alien and stuff, I didn't really get the threat in the episode until they get to the point where they're trying to get rid of him. And that's where the threat really came in. And I think this episode did an amazing thing that Doctor Who normally is. Like, Doctor Who is never afraid to kill people,
Hmm.
but I can. I was still surprised when it got to the scene where they were fighting with Tim Shaw and they were trying to bring him down and get rid of him. When like Grace,
Oh yeah.
do you want to take us through this scene?
So they figure out what Tim Shaw is up to. Like he is on a ritualistic hunt, and he used the electrical coils as a way to cheat and to pick a human who is the he's like a crane operator who's on the train with Grace and Graham, and that's who Tim Shaw is. I can't take that serious. I'm smiling as I say that.
Tim Shaw, just so happy.
Yeah, that's who he that's who the electrical coils have chosen for him to kill. Uh, so he can become the Stenza leader.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to foil the plan. Like the Doctor goes to try and save Carl. That's the guy's name. While Graham and Grace try to dispose of the electrical coils. Um, the thing that we haven't really pointed out is that the Doctor doesn't really know who she is properly at this point because she's still regenerating.
Yeah.
So she has points where she has to lie down and sleep, and she's healing, and she doesn't know who she is properly. She knows that she says at one point she's trying to find a doctor,
Yeah.
but she doesn't realize that she is the doctor.
Yeah.
And it's at the point where Tim Shaw has almost got Carl that it bangs into her head. So it's like a bolt of lightning, like, I am the doctor. I know who I am now.
I
You,
think
I,
like yeah,
like,
like you notice with most doctors and stuff, like they have to have that epiphany moment of they realise who they are, what doctor they are. Every like Peter Capaldi had that moment where he's like no second chances, and then he became a doctor of second chances. Like it's just like it was funny because like with Peter Capaldi was like I don't give second chances, and then when Clara betrays him in his season, he's like, do you think betraying me? Do you think I care for you so little that betraying me would make me would make a difference?
yeah,
I love that because like the Doctor has that epiphany moment and it doesn't define them later on, but it's a starting point for their development. And I do like the fact that she's struggling with her identity just as the audience is struggling with her identity.
hmm which is good because it's let's face it, it was a big change for the BBC casting the Doctor. It was something we waited for years.
Yeah, definitely. Like
So it,
you felt it build up. Like in the background, you could tell that they were trying to prep for it, and they really wanted to. Like right from the get go. Like I'm pretty sure this was back in Classic Who, where there are articles about well the next Doctor to be female, and this is why it would be bad and all that stuff. But we'll get to that. Like, and we'll really get into the nitty gritty with it. Um, like I think my favourite part towards the end of the episode was when like Grace and Graham are interacting, and Grace is um
she's
like
calling from the tower and he's
yeah
trying to
like yeah
get with.
she's like basically like sort of like says to Graham like right you've rewired the house you so you sort things out this end I'll climb up, and Graham's like I don't want you doing that, but she turned around really powerful character moment and says Graham, Ryan's in danger, we don't have time to argue, give me the signal when you're ready.
Yeah.
And she turns around and goes is it wrong to be enjoying this, and he's like yes.
Yes.
No, but I think like I really love that because you only have her for a short minute and you really get how powerful this woman is and how much excitement and our love and lust for life is basically passes on to Graham and Ryan. Like you can tell that she's had a huge impact in everyone's life that she's been in.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish we had more of her because what happens next is absolutely heartbreaking. Like it's so much.
Yeah. Spoiler alert for anybody who has not seen it, and if you haven't, I think it's a little past the time. But anyway, spoiler alert. Uh, Grace dies.
It's heartbreaking. It is absolutely
It
heartbreaking.
it really is. It really truly is. Um, but I think it kind of helps them all move to a place they need to be. It's sad when a character's death is used to kind of move other characters' stories forward, but I think it's
The thing
both.
is, though, like it's an achievement in a way because she died doing something she was really like charging to do. She charged into action the
Yeah,
second she was called, and there's this beautiful moment when Graham is sitting by Grace and he touches her face and he's trying to see if she's okay, but he knows she's gone.
yeah,
And he turns round as Ryan runs up and Yaz runs up. He turns round and he locks eyes with the doctor, and his
yeah,
face is just so desperate. He's like, please, like that face says, please, I can't lose her, I can't, please, like, and the doctor just looks like broken. There's a
yeah,
realization. The doctor just looks down, and our expression is just, oh,
yeah,
like it's such a powerful moment. The way it was filmed, the way the camera pans around, the music, everything, it was just really powerful. And a second viewing, I really got to appreciate like how powerful that moment was. And I really like this is why I'm glad we're going back on it, because I feel like, as I said before, that when I first watched it, I was very much judging the doctor and not enjoying the episode. Um, like, what did you think of that scene?
Oh, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Like the fact that she did what she was setting out to do. Like she destroyed the coils, and they sent Tim Shaw back to his planet and everything. So they won the war for that, but she ended up dying because of her heroism. And the funeral scene was so, oh, that was so moving, as well as the fact that Ryan was just there with Yasmin and Graham. Like his dad didn't even bother to show up, even though that was his dad's mum.
It
Who
was
just died.
it was the moment right after this bit was filmed. It just cuts to like his YouTube channel again in the blog, and this is why I really like this blog, is because the format goes back and he's making this for his gran, for his
Yeah,
loved one. He's not doing this for YouTube fame or anything. He's just putting his story out there because it's someone he loved, and he's dealing with a loss that he can't conceptualize. And a lot of people, you don't see Ryan with friends, you don't see him with any people or buddies or anything. You see him quite lonely, almost, because I mean he's learned to ride a bike with his gran and like Graham, his granddad. He's not hanging out with friends, he's not going to the pub, he's not doing anything like that. And it's like almost like the reason he put that blog up was because he needed an outlet. And a lot of people do that, and it's a way to share amongst each other grief and bereavement and like dealing with it. And it pans away from him when he's at the screen to like a shot where he's in the chair and he's just facing the screen, and the room's all dusty with the sort of dusk coming through, or maybe early morning. And he says, first my mum 6 years ago, and now my nan. It's like the best get taken first. I had a lot to learn from her, and I were looking forward to that. She died like she lived, trying to help other people. I love you, Nan, and tomorrow I'm going out there for you. And then it cuts to him trying to ride the bike again with with Graham and like the doctor, and he's falling off and keeps trying. But this is something I wanted to touch on like later. But there's a moment in the opening scene which Grace is telling them like to keep going, and she goes like, we'll go on trying till it's done. And it really seems like this is anticipus, that the message Ryan really takes from his gran is like, I'll keep going until it's done. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful writing. I really like that.
Yeah.
Like save with the funeral scene and such, that, like Suzie touched upon, like I've lost a lot of people that were important to me in my life, including my mother and stuff, and I miss her dearly. And I just like, I watched this scene and I really empathized with empathized, not emphasized, but I always do that dyslexic brain. But like that moment where he's standing there and like he's just like, the doctor asked, what time did your dad say he'd get here? And like Ryan was like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
And he says like, the doctor was like, well, if he said he'll come, he'll come. And Ryan was like, he says a lot of things and he's never been the best at being reliable. It really cuts you, doesn't it? It really like, I didn't need that.
Oh yeah, it's like, come on, really, his dad? Oh, it's just, you want to punch his dad in the face. You really do.
So what do you think about like it moves on to like the doctor sort of like trying to disappear by going in, and she gets like invited for tea. I love that.
That was so. I love that. That's just how ingrained Doctor Who is in our lives now. Like anybody that would come across the Doctor, we just invite them in for a cup of tea. No questions about where are you from, what are you doing here. Nothing like that. It's like, you want a cup of tea? Have you got family? It's so normal. So normal.
I think that's really sweet. Like, what did you think about Graham's speech about, like, he was talking to the doctor about how Grace changed his life and he bet cancer.
Oh, that was amazing. Like, he fell in love with Grace, who was his chemo nurse 3 years ago, and that's when they.
So, like, basically, that's the plot. Like, a Hershey's thing lands in the woods. Ryan, having flung his bike in a tree, sees the Hershey's thing. The Hershey's thing is solved, and we meet Tim Shaw. We lose a special character. And we go through the stages of seeing the funeral, which I applaud the writers for actually including that and showing the human side of it, because I feel like Doctor Who's always been about the humanity side of it. Overall, actually looking back at the plot, it seems simple, but the whole story wasn't on the Doctor, it was on the characters, and that's quite fresh, because you find that like a lot of the first episodes in a season with a new Doctor is always on the Doctor, but this whole episode was on the humans.
Companions, yeah. Who are to become the companions.
So
And
did you like the plot? Do you think it was?
absolutely, it actually, going back and watching it a second time, actually got me more interested in seeing what else comes after this, because like after everything is said and done, um, the Doctor tries to find the TARDIS after getting a change of clothes, which I love her outfit.
Oh my goodness, we haven't even spoke about that, but we'll get to it. But like, yes.
But
What?
basically, she tries to locate the TARDIS, manages to get an electronic signal, and she's saying goodbye to them all. And then once she presses the button to get transformed to it, she actually takes them all with her, and they're floating in space.
I love that. That's actually it's such a Doctor thing to do. You're like, ah, you idiot. like it
Yeah,
plays to that buffoon side of the character because someone so smart has no common sense.
exactly. Yeah.
And don't you love the fact that the Doctor had to rebuild the Sonic?
Oh yeah, the sonic screwdriver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the TARDIS didn't make it for her. She built it.
No. She built it using, as she said, Sheffield steel. That was so good because like Sheffield's known for all the like making steel works back in the 70s and 80s and
Wow,
stuff like that. The
I
steel
didn't
mill.
know that. I didn't actually
Yeah,
know that. That's pretty cool.
yeah, that's where it kind of comes from, and the mines and stuff like that.
Like
Uh,
that's awesome. Like I love the fact that like it was the Doctor's ingenuity, and people say this Doctor is like a kind of watered down version of the Doctor, but see if you look back at it with the fact that the Doctor actively built their own Sonic
mhm.
and it took charge of it and was trying to figure it out. It's the Doctor's character is actually, I would say, spot on.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely. The fact that instinct, she had uh, she was instinctive with the fact that she knew she can build things.
yeah,
She didn't know why. She just knew that she could build things, and it was
like
very ingenious.
this brings us on to our next part, which is the characters, so motives, personality, style, dialogue, and stuff. We can start off with, I'd say we should start off with Ryan, move into Grace, and then um, Graham, and then Yasmin, then the Doctor is the pomulturate sort of thing. Because I know that's what's on everyone's mind, like when are they going to address the female
Yeah, let's
Doctor?
talk about
like, hurry. So, right, characters. Ryan, for me, I do see someone who's quite lost, and this is where I feel like Gracie's character kind of intermingles, so it's better talking about them together because I feel like Ryan is learning off his gran because, as he said in the episode, he lost his mum very young. Um, so his gran was his mother figure, was his how he stabilised himself, and you don't see Ryan with anyone else. You don't see him with friends, as I said. So his gran seems to be that his family, his friends, his like everything. And I see his motives is really tied to her. So when his arc in the episode is really kind of taking those lessons from her, and you do see him grow because he started off very childish to the
yeah.
point like the whole bike thing was a metaphor for the fact of keep trying,
Mhm.
and I feel like that was quite good. His personality was very. I feel the actor's older than 19. I don't see a 19-year-old. I saw an adult. And that was the one major flaw I think is the actor didn't look like a teenager.
Mhm.
So like I couldn't like think of him as a teenager. So when he threw his bike and when he was doing stuff or acting silly or wasn't calling Graham granddad and stuff like that, I saw this like adult doing it and it made it less believable. But knowing that he's 19, knowing that he's just coming into his 20s as a character, it makes sense that he's rebelling against his mother figure being married to someone and having to share his mother figure. Um,
Yeah.
but his dialogue and his style kind of, he's like the way he's dressed makes sense. Like, his dialogue was very good. I was annoyed at the fact you didn't get very much in the way of personality from him, really, through his dialogue. It was more so like reactory kind of statements and stuff, but I did get the sense that he was very like trying to find himself. if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like, what did you pull from it?
Oh, absolutely. It was all the episode started off like you said, a very immature character trying to find who he is, just keep going until it's done. And that was a recurring theme all the way through it. Like he was trying to keep going until it was done, until he grew up a bit.
Hmm.
And it's yeah, it was sad that Grace had to die for that lesson to kind of hit home a little bit. But sometimes that's what happens in life. Like traumatic events tend to change people and help them grow up a little faster. It's not something that is always nice to happen, but I liked what they did with it,
I
like having him start off so immature and growing into this person to who he is now.
That's the thing. I feel like they could have. My complaints about the character is that I think like they could have done a lot more with his personality because he has lost a lot of people in his life and he doesn't seem to have a lot of relationships outside his gran. I
Yeah,
would have loved more like dialogue into that. I would have liked more explanatory kind of what his life was like. I would like to, like we got to meet like Amy Pond when she was a kid, for
yeah.
example, and it set up the series. You saw this lonely child in a big house.
Hmm.
You don't get that with him. It's almost like you're just flung into it, and I get the fact you won't know everything from one episode, but you don't really feel the gravity of what he's lost when he lost it because he never built up
Yeah.
what he was struggling with. Like he was struggling with the fact he didn't have a mother figure, but you don't see that. You don't see it. Like it's just implied and then you get told about it, but you don't see it. You don't really get sold that history, and I think that's a major issue with it because they could have done so much more.
I actually think that that part was very clever, the way that they did it, because not all the characters are going to be as open to the
Yeah.
situations around them as like most of them are. They're not well, not every single one is going to be like Rose or Clara or like River Song, because those characters are very extroverted, and I feel like Ryan is a complete introvert. He's had a lot of stuff happening to him, and I just think that's his personality type is very introverted. You're not going to dig everything out of him right away.
See, like
Like
I,
it takes a
I
bit
think
of time.
that's a really, really good thing to pull out. I do agree with you. I think he's an introverted character, but at the same point, I didn't get that the first time I saw him, and I didn't get it the second time.
Yeah, fair.
Until I refer back to the episodes later on. Like I feel like they could have done more to show you this character, and even if he's introverted, just show it, don't tell it.
Yeah,
Like I feel like there should have been a point where, for example, they showed where Grace was buried and say she was buried with her daughter who was um like Ryan's mum, for example. They could have included his history more in a way that wasn't shown through dialogue but shown through like visuals. And they
yeah,
didn't, which is fair enough because life is a series of snapshots. You don't get like the full thing right away, and I totally get that. But I think I would have like been hit harder if I'd known what he'd been through because obviously when he lost his mum he was probably quite young, and it would have been nice like if you got clips of him like staying in school or
yeah,
say like when he was in staying with his gran or like when he first met Graham or like even just a simple scene of showing where she was buried. And I know that might be traumatic and in the sense of like the BBC or like the Doctor Who writers don't want to like kind of make people upset, but Doctor Who isn't about pulling blows for
yeah.
me, you know what I mean? But I do totally get that. I do think like later on he actually does like show more of his character, but in this episode, like now with reflection on what I already know about the character, I think they could have explored him more rather than him just being a conduit for the viewers to sit in. Because a lot of like your characters for a new Doctor, like your companions, tend to be like a seat for the viewer to be in.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, what the hell's going on? Like, Rose was definitely that when she first started. You didn't get any sort of like, um, actually, when you think about it, Rose got a massive introduction, didn't she? It showed you her life leading up
Yeah,
to it. Amy, you got shown when she was a kid. You get shown immediately her past alongside her future, because then you get introduced to her as an adult.
yeah.
Um, Maybe I'm trying to think, what companion did you get like where it wasn't explained? Maybe Martha or
Yeah, Martha definitely, because I
Donna
will.
as well, maybe.
Yeah, I would say Martha's like my least favorite companion, but that's just because I didn't really like the chemistry between her and David Tennant. It didn't really work for me, but
It was the
um,
love thing that really threw me. They could have done so much with her character, but they made her the I want his love, and it's like that was totally the
yeah,
wrong way to follow up Rose.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
You needed
But
Donna there, not Martha.
God, I love Donna. I
She's
love
my
her.
favourite. I love her.
Her and Amy. Her and Amy definitely are the best companions.
Like, I didn't like Amy when it first started because it started as a very Martha-esque kind of, oh, I fancy you kind of thing. But see, by the end of the series, it ended up with her whole arc was accepting Rory, her life, her love, and I really liked her after the first season because I got to see her grow. So I hope for Ryan it's the same thing. I hope I can look back and go, well, fair enough. But the problem is it's not the character that's the problem, it's the writing that's the issue.
I think it just because it's a new showrunner, a new writer, that it's going to take a little bit of transitioning because people were the same when uh, Stephen Moffat took over for Russell T Davis. Everybody was like that. They're like, oh, it's somebody new. We don't like burn it with a
People
thousand
really
flames.
don't like Stephen Moffat, by the way. That's a whole
I
discussion.
like him.
I do
I
as
love
well.
Stephen Moffat's writing.
To put myself on the thing of probably where I will get killed, I really prefer Stephen over Russell T Davis because I like the whole arc where it's like a full story throughout and not just singular episodic things.
Definitely.
I like how there was like a thing. Um, See, looking at Grace, what was your first feelings, initial impressions, and your overall view of like their motives, personality, style, dialogue, that type of stuff?
She just reminds me of my mum a
No.
lot.
Aw.
Very sweet, very nurturing, not one to give up on you uh with it, no matter what you're doing. Like she will support you all the way, and well, but if you cross her, oh boy.
I do like the fact she has so much energy for like going into a situation and dealing with it. I actually really admire the character when I was watching the character, specifically the first time I was like, I really like this character because I don't know if it was just the actress in sense, but like the way that the actress pulled off the dialogue was just incredible. I got this energy from her where I was like, okay, yeah, I believe you. Like, you're
Yeah,
ready to take this on. This isn't just like you see a problem and it's getting solved. No matter how stupid it sounds or crazy, you're doing it. Like,
yeah,
I got that from her. Like, the fact that she loved Graham, she loved Ryan, and she had this energy about her that was completely independent though, that was like, I have goals, I have wants and desires, like to like just attack things head on and get it dealt with, and I want people to be the best people they can be, and you
yeah.
really pull that from her.
Oh, definitely. Like she doesn't majorly question any situation she's really in. Like she's not like other characters that would go, oh, that's crazy. I'm not doing that. She's just like, okay, what do we need to do? Just that maternal figure who is prepared for any situation.
The thing
And with
is
Doctor Who, you're going to get any situation.
it was good because when she saw the doctor and stuff, it wasn't a case, right, she had this step of like, oh god, what the hell is going on, and then she was like,
Yeah.
okay, right, I accept it, this is what's happening.
Mhm.
There
Exactly.
was no like kind of faff. She was just like, right, sorted. And there's people
Yeah.
like that. You meet your mum is like that definitely. I can
Definitely.
imagine your mum doing that, just being like, right, it's sorted.
Yeah, she'd just be like, okay, what's going on? Let's get on with it.
Like exactly that kind of. I've met these people that are like this, that have this personality, and that's where I feel like it leads to Graham. Why do I say Brian because it's his like last name? I remembered his last name out of my. Graham is like I really love Bradley Walsh. I loved him throughout the season, spoiler, but like this every part he was in this episode I really enjoyed. I loved his love for his family and for it was all out of good intention. The only issue he ever had was he wanted Ryan to love him and to be there for him, but you really feel his loss when he loses Grace. You really feel it, and he's
Yeah.
it hurts to watch that. It's horrible.
It is gut wrenching to see that. But yeah, Bradley Walsh I've always felt was a really good actor. Always. No matter what he's doing. He's been in Coronation Street, he does The Chase, he does so many other things, but everyone always kind of dismissed him because he was a comedic actor. But comedic actors are phenomenal at doing dramatic parts, and
Yeah,
he kind of
yeah, definitely.
did really well with both sides of the arc for that.
Like Robin Williams. Very,
Exactly.
very, very, very good. Same with Billy Connolly. Same with like any major comedian. Look, as comedians, like specifically your top tier comedians, they have observational humor. And they tend to pick up what they see. They're very good at dramatizing things and making them wilder than what they seem. They're just brilliant, and when they do hone in on their um dramatic moments, it's really impeccable. I love them throughout this episode. Anything with them in it, like specifically the bus driver thing, I was like, oh, I love you. um
Definitely.
what about Yasmin? How did you feel about her?
Yasmin, I like her. I like her as a character. She, and I don't mean this in a bad way, she screams the typical Doctor Who companion to me at the moment. Somebody who is in a particular path, they are lost like a deer in headlight and don't know what to do to change their situation. Then they get flung into this crazy scenario with the Doctor, um, and then it goes from there. So I like the fact that it's not just her; it's her with Ryan and Graham as well. So you've got three different personalities that are going to bounce off each other in these different scenarios. So it's not just one personality you're dealing with; it's three of them.
Like the thing is, like I'm gonna be the baddie here. Like I feel like she's got the same faults as Ryan.
Yeah,
Um, with the fact her character could have been developed more, but she's more so. I feel like she's the weakest character in the episode. She didn't have much. We know that she's suffering from work, and the actress did a phenomenal job in portraying that. Um, she's still a good character, but I don't feel I know her by the end of the episode, if that makes sense.
yeah, I totally got it.
Like, overall, the characters were fantastic. I really, really loved them. Um, and I think I was like specifically like on my rewatch, I was excited to see how they would develop and stuff. And I just don't want her to be a side character in the sense of oh we've got Yasmin, so we need to give her some dialogue kind of thing. I want her to have her own agency, and I hope that they retain that and they give her a story, a proper like in-depth reflective story at some point, because you all you know of hers are occupation and such like, and she plays like the kind of the straight character of like, oh but I need to like this is crazy and this is I feel like it needs to be developed more for me
Yeah,
to engage with the character. And not the episode can't do everything. It's only an hour long, so it can't give a full review of her. But I do look forward to seeing how she's developed.
definitely.
So we get to do the fun bit, Susie.
Very
Right. Okay. The doctor. Right.
appropriate.
Right. The doctor. let's start with the clothing. Suzie, go.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I think like I really like the fact that they pay an like attention to like the color scheme and stuff with her, because it's like an ode to like I think like see the is it the stripes that are on her um
On her on the shirt.
yeah, that pay a tribute to um Sarah Jane.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I just love the fact that her whole costume pays homage to not just one doctor or one companion or anything like that. It's multiples. Because you've got elements of Tom Baker there, you've got elements of David Tennant, you've got elements of Peter Davidson, you've got, there's so many of
Like
them amalgamated into this one outfit.
yeah, you've got the big jacket, which is reference to David Tennant. Then you've got the stripes, which are like related to Sarah Jane, and then you have the big pull-up baggy trousers. Who are those in reference to? Do you think?
I want to say Tom Baker.
Hmm.
I want to say because they would usually, if they were going for something blatantly obvious, do the scarf uh, for him. But I want to say the baggy trousers of Tom Baker. Anybody who knows this and correct me, go right ahead. I am not afraid to admit I'm wrong. That's just my initial reaction to that.
Like the boots remind me of like the braces and the boots remind me of Matt Smith. Like I don't know why the boots remind me of Matt Smith, but they really do. Um, and like the stripes actually they're very similar to the scarf, but the overall kind of like the color scheme really reminds me of like from previous episodes with do you know with Bill wears a similar top.
oh, yes.
And like the fan girl Osgood, the girl with the big thick rim glasses
Oh, I
as
love
well.
her.
Oh, she's so
Yeah.
cute. Um, like it also like I really just love the coat because it does remind me of like David Tennant and like Peter Capaldi as well a wee bit. And the high waisted trousers actually really remind me of Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor, because he
Oh,
was a bit of a clown and kind of like sort of like moved around with really baggy checkered like kind of patterned trousers.
mhm.
I really, really, really love that. I think it's awesome. So see off of the clothing, what do you think of the general acting, like dialogue and stuff like that? How do you feel about it?
I fell in love with it. It screamed Doctor to me right away with her. That was what I was hoping for with Jodie. Like I've seen her acting before. I loved her in Broadchurch, and this was a step in the right direction for me for the Doctor's acting. Like as I previously said, quick dialogue in those kind of rush not rushed situations, those fast paced situations work so well to capture my attention. It's just like here's the scenario.
Yeah, like I totally get that. The first time I watched it, I actually felt like the Doctor's character was it annoyed me because I remember saying to Ross, who's my fiance, that I remember saying like it's annoying and it takes me out of the episodes because I've noticed things that are very David Tennant-esque about the way that she has the smile going and the way that she performs, which makes sense because you work with him. And I was really distracted by that. But on rewatch, I actually found it more of a trait of her Doctor to be more childish because I know David Tennant had quick comebacks and stuff, but her dialogue seems to be more centric on more like kind of childlike wonder rather than like kind of adult scientific wonder. If that I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah,
but like
totally get it.
the way that she was like the childlike glee with things or like the kind of oh pockets Like it seemed more like once I could look back and not actually be sitting there kind of reviewing her all the way through it and took
Yeah.
that pressure off myself as a fan, I actually really enjoyed the kind of childlike glee that she approached everything. And it wasn't the same glee that the 10th Doctor did, where it was kind of like, oh, this is wonderful. It was more like, oh my god, I'm so excited, blah, blah, blah. And I
Ab-
really like enjoyed it that way.
Absolutely, because we've got to remember, like, as the Doctor regenerates into a new Doctor, they're rediscovering things.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems kind of amped up with Jodie's Doctor, that she's rediscovering things, and her excitement levels go through the roof almost. It's like, oh my god, this is so cool.
That's the thing, like, see with like the female doctor, when I first saw the female doctor, I immediately was like, oh god, oh no. And I hate myself for that, but my literal first impression was like, oh bugger, this is not going to be my doctor. This is not going to be like what I want to see. And then after I thought about it for a wee while, I was like, wait a minute, like we had Clara, and I remember watching when Clara first came into it and going, oh my god, this character's just like a female doctor, and being like really excited. So I was like, right, I'll give myself some time and I'll give the episode its fair dues. And when I watched it, I felt myself getting like drawn into the character. It was only when I started seeing David Tennant-esque things, I was like, oh damn. And like when on review, I can now separate like Jodie's Doctor from the rest of them. But I really do think they could have done better with giving her more material that made her Doctor different from the rest of them. But again, though, a challenge to that is if they made her too different, it wouldn't have helped fans transition from like the previous Doctors, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because like they needed her to like remind the audience that she was the Doctor, so they had to keep in familiar traits and like actions, so people weren't like, oh my god, who's this kind of thing.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
feel do you feel like she did it well?
Oh, absolutely,
What was
absolutely.
your first reaction when you heard the Doctor was going to be female?
I think I screamed when I heard it. I was like, yes!
Like I think it's good because like now the young girls can dress up as their favourite Doctor, and they don't need to like kind of like they don't need to sort of worry because they've got a representation of them in the sense of
Hmm.
they have a like young girls have a female Doctor. Not that girls won't dress up as like the other Doctors, but the fact that now I went to Comic Con just after Jodie's it was like the Glasgow Comic Con kind of thing. Just after Jodie's Doctor costume was released, and I saw this wee girl going about in this big wee like she's so cute. She's just this like wee Jodie kind of clone that was going about, and I thought this is wonderful. This is brilliant. This is like really an exciting moment for the show because as much as people are going like the Doctor is always male, it was played up really in the last season with Pierre Capaldi that it doesn't matter. Even Matt Smith. Matt Smith was like, we don't like really ascribe to like um male or female, and I think this is the right time. If not like a wee bit too late, I feel like it might have been better to have her just after Matt Smith because
Yeah,
Matt Smith's speech was all about change. Like times change and so must I.
yep.
That was a perfect moment. But again, like they didn't know, so we can't hold that over them.
Yeah, exactly. They want to know that it was gonna happen that way, but I'm glad it did.
What do you think about the anti-female Doctor fans? What do you have to say to them? Like, what's your message to these people?
Change is change is a hard thing to deal with, but it is a thing that you have to deal with in life. So you can either research into it and embrace it for what it is, or you can keep quiet and keep your thoughts to yourself, because all that aggression is doing is aggravating other people, and we don't need any more anger in the world. Thanks very much.
That's very diplomatic. My takeaway from it is like when I speak to a lot of people that are female. It's not males. I've not spoken to a male Doctor Who fan that's against a female Doctor. Like, I haven't ever. It's all about as long as they keep the Doctor coherent and the character, I don't mind.
Yeah.
But the women, like specifically for where me and Susie used to work, we have a few fans of Doctor Who there who were absolutely adamant they were not going to watch the new season because the Doctor was not female and they're ruining the show and all this stuff. And I was like, the thing is, right, you need to ask yourself, why is it you need the Doctor to be male?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
seriously ask yourself and write down the wee list and think about it. I'm not saying you're wrong because you're not. You have this image of a character in your head that has to be this certain way. So write down on a list why you think the Doctor has to be male, and then try and answer your points as if you were happy that she was female, and put in the arguments and then test them against each other and see what one you think holds up more. But really question it, because the thing is with Doctor Who, it's always been political. And I noticed with this season as well, like people are always like, when did Doctor Who get so political? And it's like, Doctor Who has always been about politics. Like,
Exactly. It's like
have
it's
you
not a new thing.
like what do you think the Daleks represent? Like when you like look back on Doctor Who, it's always been political. And in the UK, it's always been themes of here's a problem, how do we deal with it? Peter Capaldi, for example, in his season dealt with um war, and he gave a huge speech about everyone just needs to sit down and talk. And
Mhm.
that's what I think is really relevant. If you care about this Doctor character, listen to what the Doctor says. Because the Doctor character doesn't care about gender.
No, the
It
doctor's
does,
just a doctor.
yeah. Like, I do understand like that people are upset about it, but in the whole, I think it's a good progressive step to make.
Yeah, it was
And not,
needed.
yeah, and not because like a lot of people will argue it's not organic and that it was forced because of the social justice warrior aspect. But I think Doctor has always been going this way. Do you agree?
Absolutely, especially with them having the master coming back as Missy.
Oh, I love that. Like a lot of people don't actually like that, but I love it. I love that she's Scottish. We had a
Oh,
Scottish doctor and a Scottish master, and they were just
yeah,
brilliant.
loved that twist because no one saw it coming, and that's what made it so good. And the actress who plays Missy is phenomenal.
Just honestly, like I need to rewatch Peter Capaldi stuff, but like see with
Not right
Missy's.
because we're doing Jodie.
Yeah, like Missy is like actually I adore what they did. I adore that the fact that it's very gender fluid. It's very kind of like they play with it, and no show has that. In my mind, there might be shows that can, but no show in my mind has the capacity to change the gender of major characters. And I think you should be proud of the fact that Doctor Who can do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a major thing. Like Doctor Who has always been pushing for being the best of the best and being the front runner for change, and I do really admire that.
Mhm.
Like I really, and plus everything with Missy, I loved. I loved the fact she was just like la da 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 da, and just like going about her life.
Absolutely. But I think we're getting a little off track here, so I think we
Sorry.
need. No, 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 you're fine. We need to address since we're going into war and the bad side of Doctor Who, the villain.
Yes. Okay, right. The villain, Tim Shaw, or what's the proper pronunciation for Tim
uh, it,
Shaw?
it's Simsha.
What did you? Right. Okay. Right. As a character, I found him weak, in the sense of like I really wish they gave him more to actually do.
Mhm.
Um, because I feel like it's kind of like a rip off of the Centurions kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, I like the design though. But I don't feel there's much about this villain that really stands out from other villains that the Doctor has encompassed. Like with, because for example, like the Ice Warriors in the classic Who and now New Who when they appeared, I feel like he takes on the archetype of villain, they don't give him much of a backstory to really make you see. Like a lot of modern media requires you to give like the villain some sort of reason and justification for their ideology, but all you're given is like, I want to murder, I want to lead. You're not given, okay, like people are more complex than that. Even aliens, you can't just like make something like uh sort of propellant for one thing, because this is, it has to have a reason. I would really desire them to write a reason for why he's like this and what the culture's like, because we aren't shown the culture, we're told about it. But
Yeah,
what do you think?
I agree. Like, out of Doctor Who villains we've had from like all the new Who, classic Who, he is one of the weaker ones. But I think I don't know if they did that intentionally as a way to kind of build up towards the more worse villains towards the end of the season's run. I don't
Yeah.
know because I haven't personally watched all of the season. I'm going to watch them all for this.
Oh, Suzie emitting her fables.
No, 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 I already admitted that I stopped watching after like the third episode or something. So I am very open to going and watching them all now.
This is why we're doing this, because Susie, like, we need you to be on your Doctor Who like thing run. We need you to continue being that, because like Doctor Who is life, Doctor Who is love.
And and I got a resurgence for watching it now that I rewatched the first episode, and I
Oh,
want to see them all for this. So that will happen.
yay!
How I see it going is that they're kind of building layer upon layer upon layer for the villains until you get to the worst one. Um, I know the Daleks appear at some point. I don't know when, but they do appear at some point.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
I appreciate that. So that's my take on it. I loved the comedy, the unintentional comedy between him and the Doctor, with the dialogue of Tim Shaw.
I like, yeah, because he's this really ruthless military ass like character, and she's just like, what? Like,
It's
no.
like he's trying to be threatening, and she's like, no, no, please,
See,
no. What's wrong with you?
that's, I don't know if you agree with this, but do you think it would have been worthwhile for either the villain or the Doctor to have a good monologue where it was actually kind of powerful, or do you think that would have deterred from the actual episode?
I think it would have deterred from it a little bit because this is an introduction episode for everybody. It's kind of like how the first Avengers movie was for me. Like, you're getting introduced to all of these characters. You're not gonna get to know them right away with this movie or this episode. Is to build up to something greater, which is what Endgame turned out to be. Oh yeah.
Ooh. Look at
I,
you, fangirling over Marvel during a Doctor
oh,
Who thing.
I know. I love. Sorry. I love. Um, but that's kind of how I base it on. Like, it was always meant to be an introduction to everybody and kind of introduce the villains to anybody that had never watched Doctor Who before.
That's a good point,
Uh,
because every Doctor's supposed to be an opening for any
mhm.
new person to come in. It's not necessarily for. I think people forget that every new Doctor literally is a starting point, and it
Yeah,
should be a
exactly.
starting point to introduce you, and no
And
build on the stuff that the fans, like hardcore fans, can love. But it's supposed to be something that anyone can sit down and watch.
exactly. And like, I think Tim Shaw was kind of like the training wheels on the bike, which plays well into Ryan learning how to ride a bike at the beginning of it. It's like you're learning how to ride a bike, and then soon you'll take the training wheels off and you'll upgrade to another villain, and then another and another and another until you get the I want Tim Shaw back.
Yeah, but again, Tim Shaw. Like that's such. I want him back. I want the toothy faced person to come back. The thing is, though, like, see, with him though, I didn't feel threatened at any point.
Nah, but I think that's what it is. If you've got little kids like watching Doctor Who, and they always have done since the show was created, so I think in that sense, like for a lot of younger viewers, he might have been intimidating. Like, you don't want to introduce kids to the Daleks right away because those are creepy.
No, right. That's actually something I wanted to talk about. Like, this is the Doctor is a family show, so you have to remember that it's not for adults exclusively, so they have to be careful with what they show. So, like,
Exactly.
I do actually really like the fact that they showed a death on screen. They showed what happens after it, very adult themes, but they still did it in a way that kids could watch it and understand, because
Yeah,
they know that a lot of children watch it. They can't be like blood and gore. They have to be careful with what they do.
exactly. They can't be grotesque with it. They have to play out scenarios as realistically as they can, but not too realistic, so it scars a child for life.
Do you remember the Waters of Mars episode with David Tennant?
Yes, I
Right.
do.
People were furious about that because they were like, this is too scary for kids. And like, see, watching it, I was like, no, it's not too scary. But then thinking about it, if I watched that when I was a child, I would have been absolutely horrified at like what was going on. So you don't know how kids are like taking Tim Shaw in, but I do like how the Doctor approaches this like alien in the sense of like, I respect that you have these things, but no.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
I wish they could have done more, but that's speaking from an adult side of things. I wanted to know more about him, and I needed to be threatened in the sense of feel the impact he was having, because without the impact, I don't really care about the resolution in the
Hmm.
sense. But he comes up later in the series, so we'll talk about that when it happens. But from this episode, I wasn't really impressed by the villain.
Yeah, totally get it.
So let's go on to themes, like thematic themes of the entire thing. I was saying to Susie earlier that I believe this whole episode was an accumulation of when Grace and Ryan were interacting when Ryan was trying to get on the bike. And she says, "Who says you can't?" And Ryan says, "Me, Nan. We keep trying this." And Grace says, "And we'll go on trying till it's done." And I feel like this is like the thematic kind of theme to this episode is keep trying till it's done. And
Yeah,
it's a lesson on like just hunkering down and dealing with what's in front of you. And I feel like they accomplished it really well. It's just again it could have been done with more depth. And I'm pretty sad that they didn't do with it. But again, it's the first episode, so maybe later.
maybe later down the line.
So
Um, I totally agree with you. Like the theme, how it was. Um, it was like taking the training wheels off for both his bike and for life. Be very
ooh,
difficult. Um, and the fact that he lost somebody close to him, but it helped him gain some more independence in his life, I suppose, a little bit. But
yeah,
that I think that'll play out more later in the season when we're watching the rest of it. Um, but definitely, it was a nice way to start off this arc.
yeah. Is that's the way to look at it, is in the sense of it's an arc. So this is um the opening ceremony sort of thing to the story. So
Mm-hmm.
the arc is keep going till it's done, and I do feel like it achieved that. It really kept that. It concluded in the end with him trying to further himself on a bike after all this horrific experience of dealing with this interstellar being, and losing his grand. The first thing he wants to do is to conquer something what other people would see trivial, but he sees it as something that, no, I need to go back to the roots of it and complete something that was started but not finished.
Yeah,
And I do love that. I feel like the story concludes itself very well, like very well. I do think like the themes of it were about like even with Yasmin, her whole thing was about like I'm not happy, I'm not content, so she wants to know more, experience more, and with going with the Doctor, she is. And then you've got Graham, who survived cancer, lost his wife, and like his thing is about like continuing his life without someone he loves, but making sure that his grandson is safe and happy. And I feel like that's concluded. I feel like Ryan is given a goal as well, like to continue growing as a person, and we get to see the Doctor develop more. So I really do feel like this episode did what it had to do.
Yeah.
So, like, you get any other thoughts on that before we move on to the next bit?
I think we've covered it all pretty much.
So,
Uh,
cinematography, which is Susie's part. On you go, Suzie. Do your genius.
I love cinematography is one of my favorite aspects of TV and movies. Like as an example, one of my favorite directors that I love in movies is Wes Anderson
Mm-hmm.
because of the way he frames shots and he frames characters for stories. Uh, and thinking of how the cinematography was for Broadchurch as well, it kind of gives me a basis of how Chris Chibnall was going to do in Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Because Broadchurch I adore. Such a
Can
good
you
show.
explain, for context for people who haven't seen Broadchurch, what is it that Chris does differently from what Moffat or like Russell does?
So for Broadchurch, um, for anybody who doesn't know, it's basically a child is killed in this small town called Broadchurch, and you go through trying to find out who the killer is. Blah 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 blah. What I love about that is Broadchurch is a character in itself. Like the town of Broadchurch is a character in the story. They use elements of different parts of the town to bring points home. They use different scenery points to kind of hit home about what is going on and how parts of the story are moving on. And that's what Chris brought to Doctor Who with this first episode. Like one of the lines that we started off with saying, like, aliens don't come to Sheffield. So Sheffield in itself, with the way the scenery was presented, the background was used, the overhead shot, that was used as a character in itself because you don't see aliens in this town, you don't see them in this city, and like it started off as a very naturist, naturistic view of the city. This what seems like an ordinary story, starting off a 19-year-old boy with dyspraxia, learning to ride a bike, and then chaos ensues when he goes to get the bike. Well, oh, there's a giant thing in the middle of a
Hershey's Kiss.
part of the woods. Yeah, the Hershey's Kiss. And um, the cinematography changes. So like it starts off very open and showing how big the city is and showing uh, what seems like an ordinary story, and then it becomes like the more threatening parts. It becomes very claustrophobic. Like you're getting close-ups of this small part of the woods where this giant Hershey's Kiss is contained. You get a warehouse where this other character comes in because he's looking for his sister, um, and the mood changes depending on lighting. It depends on the atmosphere. Like there's different atmospheric uh, vibes going on with it. Like as soon as some threat comes in, you see the lighting change. You see the camera focusing in more towards. It's tighter. The camera work is tighter. It's tighter focus on these characters trying to figure out what has happened to their sibling or their loved ones in connection with this giant ass Hershey's Kiss that come out of nowhere seemingly. And like the more threatening the situation is, the more tighter the camera work is, the more claustrophobic it feels. And then when the threat becomes less and less, it starts to open up more. You start getting exposed to Sheffield itself again. as a character seen as things start to loosen up, it becomes more open again, and things have kind of settled down.
Yeah.
So that I love that about it. Like, and then, like I said, that's what they kind of did in Broadchurch. Like, Broadchurch was itself a character. It was open. You got to see how huge the place was, and the big scale of how like finding the killer of this child was. That's kind of
So
what
like,
happened in Doctor Who.
so you feel like he took the character of the location really well. Like,
Oh yeah,
do you see a massive difference in how he approached it compared to like Moffat or Davis?
I do. I do actually, because as much as I love Stephen Moffat, his focus was more on the Doctor and the villains, the characters,
Yeah.
um, not really much the locations. And I always appreciate when a location is kind of given its own breathing room. It's like Silent Hill we see as a character,
Yeah.
and that's why I freaking love Silent Hill now, because that's seen as a character in itself. A place can be given as much limelight as characters to help tell the story, and I love that about this.
Hmm.
So I could go on and on and on about cinematography.
Sorry, I thought you're the best person to talk about it. I thought that the use of the location was really well used. I love how um realistic everything felt. But on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, like right, Moffat was more fairy tale orientated. I feel like it was like kind
Yeah,
of all these bright colors, or like everything had a color palette that he would record. And then you had Davis, who was more like sporadic with his, because you had a lot of writers coming in and doing episodes that
yeah,
he didn't do. He wasn't part of every episode, so there's a lot of like, you can't define Davis's from my perspective, you can't define Davis's sort of touch without like thinking, well, oh, there's this episode like with like it was really darker and it didn't have all this color palette and stuff, because that wasn't
yeah.
him, it was other people. But
Mm-hmm.
the episodes he did fully do, um his thing was very, I don't know how to really put it, because you do have like things like silence in the library where Moffat, so you had like a lot of like, Moffat was already there, so the episodes that were his were like more fairy tale, and then you had Davis, who was, I want to say more kind of pop culture sort of
Yeah,
imagery.
his
So
were kind of pop culture and more actiony.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Like the thematic thing with looking at the cinematography aspect, I don't feel I know Russell T Davies as well as I do know Moffat's style. Or like, for example, like I watched Sherlock, which Moffat was part of,
Yeah,
um, and he was doing Matt Smith's era, and you can
mm-hmm.
directly tell that it's him that's doing it, because there's things he does, like putting text on screen, for example, or short clips moving fast, where it's just
Yeah,
images. I'm not sure of Chris yet. From his standpoint, I feel like I'm watching a sort of dramatization
yeah.
of like an event, which makes it more realistic. But from what I'm used to with Doctor Who, which is like the more kind of like magical aspect, I haven't seen that in this episode. I feel like he did the best that he could, and I'm interested to see what he does like in future with it. I don't know
Absolutely.
if I'm talking correctly about
Oh,
cinematography, by the way.
no, no,
If anyone like steps in and is like, no, you're shit, then I'm like, yeah, totally fine. Like, I understand.
it took me a long time to understand cinematography and watching a lot of different directors and movies.
So,
Um,
like, like, from your angle and stuff, like, what things should I be looking at for cinematography when looking at, like, Doctor Who, for example?
well, it's like how a scene is framed is what I mainly look for. And like I said, the perfect person I'd think of cinematography is Wes Anderson,
Hmm.
because all of his shots are framed in a certain way. Everything is symmetrical. Everything is perfect.
So
everything's kind of grounded into one area, and it's it's having a focus.
so for the fact that, like, for example, when Grace dies,
Hmm.
there's a very kind of, the camera kind of pans around and shows you people coming in, but very quickly, and then it stops on facial reactions, like for Bradley Walsh's character, and then moves to the doctor, and it shows you facial reactions over bodily reactions, like what they're doing with their hands and stuff like that. It shows you the expressions. Is that kind of like what you would look at?
Kind of, yeah.
Because, like, honestly, like, I think that did really well. And the human moments where something dramatic was going on, I feel like they captured that really well. On review, I really see that. And the first time I watched it, I don't think I appreciated it as much as I should have.
Hmm.
See, with the soundtrack, Susie, how do you feel about the soundtrack for this episode?
Again, it did really well in framing certain moments, like when the tension needed to be pumped up, it it engulfed you in that moment. When it needed to be more open and wide spaced, uh, it did its job for
Like,
that.
I previous to us recording this, I sent Susie a like audio file on YouTube of some of the soundtrack that was not released yet. And when you listen with headphones on just to the soundtrack without anything else, the soundtrack is immense. It's really
Mm.
quite ethereal and like it has an impact. Like, see the Half Blood Prince Harry Potter film. It reminds
Yeah.
me a lot of that because I used to listen to that soundtrack when I was walking about or reading books because, like, weirdo. But like, and not going to school but sitting in a field somewhere. This is very Scottish. But like, I listened to that a lot, and it really reminded me of that. Like, it really reminded me of the kind of, you have the silent aspects where this is like a monotone kind of blurry kind of sound, which it's like kind of like carries on, and then suddenly drums come into it and a wee bit of violin, and then suddenly out of nowhere, like the Doctor Who theme like beats in like a heartbeat, and you're like, whoa, this is good. And
Yeah.
it's like, I really, really, really like that. I think, like, do you know the person that's taking over from Murray Gold? I don't actually recall the name right now. Actually, I should search that.
So glad I can't remember the name. But I like at the end when you actually hear the Doctor Who theme, because they don't actually, as I said, they don't actually have the normal introduction, like the do right at the beginning of the episode.
No, it
They
just
take
flings
you,
in.
yeah, just flung right into the story, which really
Did you
like.
Did you actually like? I actually found that really awesome. Like, the fact that they still denied us that like central aspect as a fan to hear the theme. We're like, damn it! How could you hold this from us? And it just like didn't show us.
I liked I liked what they did. It was kind of it was a modern take on it, saying that you don't need the theme at the moment. You just need the story. You need the characters. We'll give you the theme when it's the right time. You don't need it at the moment. That's kind of on it.
Like, I really like. I like how people got really antsy about it because they were just like, sort of like, oh, I really want to see. It's the same with the TARDIS. You don't see the TARDIS in the first episode.
Nope. You
Like,
don't need it.
it's so good because like it's like, look, we're starting on a fresh take. You don't get to see all these Doctor Who things. We'll give you hints of it, but we really want you to see Jodie. We want you to see the companions. We want you to see the story, and I
Yep.
think they did the right thing by doing that because as someone who's a really like, I love Doctor Who. Like, I really love it. I'm a massive fan, but I think they were looking after people like me who were trying to get used to a female Doctor,
Yeah.
and they were trying to look after the audience and really go, right, we're gonna give you what you need, but you need to like kind of wait for it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's
Um,
like this is a big change all in one go, so we're not going to fling everything at you.
Right, I can't pronounce his name. Me and Susie are doing this over Skype, so I'm going to send this in a message over Skype. This is the composer for New Doctor Who. Can you pronounce it, please? Because I will
Segun,
butcher it.
yeah, Segun Akinola.
Yeah, like, I think he
Oh,
um did fantastic. For it, I feel like he took on a really it reminded me, like, as I said with Harry Potter, like that soundtrack. The reason I have that on my iPod, I still work with an iPod when I'm walking about. I don't use my phone. Ancient. But like, the reason I really like it is because there's a moment of calm and just kind of serenity where you're listening to this sort of like um just outer world sort of thing before it pulls you into going, yes, this is Doctor Who.
yeah,
A lot of piano, a lot of drums. Um, I'm looking forward to what he has to offer because I love Murray Gold. Murray Gold was the previous like composer for Doctor Who, and I bought every soundtrack, every single one, because this is Gallifrey, This Is Our Home, I think. I don't know
yeah.
if that's the title, but there's that composition was excellent, and then you had the Tenth Doctor's theme. Who can forget the Tenth Doctor theme? It's incredible. Like,
Muddy music was that impactful. Sorry to cut you off.
no,
Like
no, no. Oh,
his music was that impactful. I actually used the companion themes and Matt Smith's theme for my wedding.
holy wow! When did you use them for people who are listening? I know, but you don't. So, Susie,
I
explain.
I used it for everybody coming in, like for people coming in, and I used it was Matt Smith's theme. So the
Smith.
do 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 do.
Do, 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 do.
I
Boom, 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 boom.
I used that before I was walking in the room.
I love it.
So dramatic, so big, and I thought it was such a impactful moment. Like, okay, let's get ready for the show, and we're gonna.
Yeah, like, honestly, right. See, when people think about Doctor Who, they think of like cling film, tinfoil, really crappy effects and stuff like that. But see the music for Doctor Who, like, it's incredible. Like, new Doctor Who is amazing, and this is
Yeah,
why there was a lot of pressure on the new composer because we're like, you better do this right. So I'm hoping that this composer, he gets like the room he needs to explore what he
yeah,
needs to explore, because like this is really a playground for the sky's the limit kind of thing.
absolutely.
And honestly, like, you want your soundtrack to be memorable, because if it's not, then it's that thing, like, see, for say Captain America or other Marvel films and stuff, I can't remember a single theme from that, and it doesn't bring up like the nostalgia of when I first saw it. But Doctor Who, and I'm not talking about the introduction kind of thing, I'm talking about like when the Doctor's first like talking about Gallifrey to Martha after he lost everyone, including his friends, his family, um, where it plays and you know what scene that comes from, and you can relate all the emotional dialogue to that music. Like,
Yeah,
and this is, I really hope the new season can really do that. And if not the new season, the next season.
absolutely.
Is there any, I realise we've been recording for like way longer than we wanted to, but
About 2 hours.
like, yeah, no, I'm so sorry, everyone. But is there any concluding things you want to say about the first episode, and to people that haven't seen it yet, or people that first thought that this isn't as good as what I expected?
Go and watch it again if you weren't impressed with it the first time. Give it a second watch. Just give it another try. And from somebody who wasn't, I did like the first one. It was just like the following ones I kind of got a little bored with. Give it another go. Keep doing it until it's done.
Yeah, like, I completely.
That's just great.
I completely agree with what Susie said, and to reiterate, like, it's hard with change considering the fact we're moving from male to female Doctor, but in all honesty, Doctor Who is all about that.
Yeah,
And give it a try and see what you think. And if you've already tried it, try it again. If you're still not satisfied, then fair enough. But it's a series we all love and we want to see do well.
Yeah.
And with this, we're closing off the Blue Box Diaries, entry 1. And we really hope you join us again for the second entry, for the second episode. Suzie, thank you so much for everything you brought to this, and it's been amazing talking to you about Doctor Who, because you're such a massive fan, and this is how we met. Because just for caveat, the first conversation I had with Suzie was at work, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I do a Doctor Who podcast and stuff," and I was like, "We need to do that." 3 years later, we're doing it. This is the first time we're doing it, so it's like
Yeah.
it's amazing for me as a friend. To actually get to this point where we're doing it and stuff, and I was really nervous, but I think like it's awesome to like go through something that is so well loved.
Absolutely.
So
And
like, yeah,
forward to looking at every other episode in this series.
if you want to find Suzie, she is the Blockbuster chick, and I will link to her in the description below. Her content is amazing, and please join me in forcing her to actually release more content. I bought her a frigging camera. She has a mic from her husband. She's still not doing it.
No.
Hatred, anger, rebellion. Get on with it, Suzie. So
Uh,
have a lovely night, everyone, and bye bye.
Well, boy, no.
Ah.